hate this company, man. Fuck. Fucking hate this company, bro. I hate this company, bro. Guys, man, I don't know. I don't. It's hilarious because I don't understand how we can go from one of the most epic returns, right? One of the most epic moments in recent memory. One of the greatest pops of all time last night at Money in the Bank with the return of John Cena. An epic moment that all of us were excited about. For the most part, everyone said that Money in the Bank was a great show. And even though I had my complaints about Money in the Bank, for the most part, I enjoyed Money in the Bank. Big E winning the men's Money in the Bank match. The great match with Edge and Roman Reigns. And of course, the return of John Cena made that a show that we would remember for years and years to come. But we get Monday Night Raw tonight. The first Monday Night Raw in fans in a long time. And on a night that's supposed to end what was a pretty good weekend for WWE, more or less. And all I have coming to this review is a fat headache. That's you guys want my honest opinion of Raw? I have a headache. I don't know what to say about this show. Right? We go from a great beginning with John Cena calling out Roman Reigns and challenging him to a Universal Championship match at SummerSlam. We go from that to just a bunch of, wow, we get something great and then they fucking ruin it. Right? We get the return of Karrion Kross. Or not the return of Karrion Kross. We get the debut of Karrion Kross. Someone that everyone says is a future world champion. Right? He comes out. He doesn't have Scarlett with him. He doesn't have the TikTok. They change his entrance up. And then he's buried. On his first night of Monday Night Raw, he loses to Jeff fucking Hardy, who hasn't done anything on WWE TV all year. And I don't care if Jeff has no more words back. Yes, it's a legendary theme song, but I don't care. There is nothing, absolutely nothing that anybody can say that will make or serve as an excuse for Karrion Kross losing to Jeff Hardy. Everyone's saying, oh, Karrion Kross will be fine. Dude, does no one understand that first impressions is key in life? When you go to a job interview, when you go to ask that girl out that you really like, when you go to the first day of school, after spending your mom's hard-earned money on new school clothes, ready to impress and show everybody the new you, to set the standard of what people should expect from you in the new school year. First impressions is key. And all you gave Karrion Kross for that first impression tonight on Raw was that he has the look of a world champion, but you're going to treat him like a loser. There is no excuse for Karrion Kross losing tonight in his Raw debut. Also, fucking Goldberg is back. We knew it was going to happen, but still, Goldberg is back and is going to be challenging Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. Fuck me. Fuck me. And then what's worse is Keith Lee finally comes back. Right? I still wish he had his own theme song, but still, he comes back finally after being off the face of the planet for years, for almost all of 2021. He comes back. And what I believe should be a legit title feud, a guy that can actually, you can make an argument, would actually make sense for taking the WWE Championship away from Bobby Lashley. He loses to Bobby Lashley. He's freaking fed to Bobby Lashley. And then Bobby Lashley spears Keith Lee in like, what was it, less than 5 minutes? Who gives a fuck? He beats Keith Lee just so he can be served as a gateway to fucking Goldberg, who can't wrestle for more than 2 minutes. 2 minutes. A guy who can't even do his own finisher correctly at his age. And yet what's worse is Goldberg got piped in crowd noise. You can't not make me believe that Goldberg's freaking reaction was piped in because WWE knew he would get booed out the fucking building. Those were not authentic Goldberg chants that you heard tonight, people. That was not authentic at all. But yet you want me to stand here and be happy, right? You get good things from Karrion Kross making his debut, they fuck it up. Keith Lee returning, they fuck it up. Goldberg comes back. Nobody wants to see it. And what's even worse, Charlotte Flair, right? Charlotte Flair, they're trying to insult your intelligence too. Because for weeks and months, Charlotte's been saying, oh, I'm going to be the 14-time world champion, right? And yet all of a sudden, Charlotte beats Rhea Ripley last night at Money in the Bank. Right? She beats Rhea Ripley at Money in the Bank. And now she's called an 11-time women's champion. You want to insult our intelligence, right? Because you fucked up by giving Charlotte title reign after title reign after title reign. And in less than 6 years, she is a 14-time women's champion. Notice, they didn't talk about the 2 times that she won the NXT Women's Champion. They didn't talk about the 1 time that she held the women's tag team titles with Asuka earlier this year. They're trying to insult your intelligence by now trying to make you believe that Charlotte's actually an 11-time women's champion instead of, in reality, a 14-time women's champion. It's a bunch of garbage. And just like that, you people wonder why I hate Charlotte so much and why I consider her the most overrated female star in the history of this company. Shit like this. For years, I got shit for always talking about how Sasha Banks was the GOAT, right? And everyone talked about, until Sasha became SmackDown Women's Champion, people talked about how Sasha could never successfully defend a women's championship. But you know one thing that's not mentioned? Charlotte Flair, a 14-time, I'm not calling her an 11-time women's champion. I speak reality. I give facts on this podcast. Charlotte Flair, a 14-time women's champion. How many times has those title reigns been actually good? I ask this question all the time. And tonight, I will ask you once again. How many of Charlotte's 14 title reigns do you actually remember as being a good reign? The one reign that Sasha Banks had as SmackDown Women's Champion was better than all of Charlotte's 14 title reigns. The 1 year that Bayley had as SmackDown Women's Champion was better than all of Charlotte's title reigns. I ask you once again, Charlotte Flair, 14-time Women's Champion, right? How many of those reigns have been less than a week or less than a month? You guys always wanted to talk about Sasha Banks and how she can never defend the title. But yet, she's still the best female wrestler of all time. Charlotte Flair held that title. It's in the history books. One day. You guys never talk about that. You guys never talk about how short Charlotte's title reigns have been. Right? When she held the SmackDown Women's Championship for a couple days before losing it to Carmella. When she held the Raw Women's Championship for 1 day and lost to Nikki Cross, who cashed in her Money to Bring briefcase tonight. And it's a cash-in that nobody cares about. when Charlotte held the SmackDown Women's Championship for 5 days. 5 days. And then Bayley, who when she had her epic heel turn a couple years ago, Charlotte won the title from Bayley at Hell in a Cell and dropped it to Bayley 5 days later. What about the time when Charlotte beat Asuka a week before WrestleMania 35? When her, Ronda, and Becky main evented WrestleMania, right? You guys remember when Charlotte won that title less than a week before WrestleMania and then dropped it to Becky, who won both the Raw and SmackDown Women's titles in the main event of WrestleMania 35. The history is there. How many, we talk about all the time Charlotte has won world titles, but all those reigns are garbage. There is not one Charlotte reign that stands out to me at all. None of them. Because nobody remembers them. But yeah, you don't want to talk about how Charlotte is the GOAT. Charlotte sucks. She is overrated. Really. I honestly forgot. I truly did forget. I forgot that Nikki Cross was Women's Money in the Bank. Because they didn't make it important. We talked about last night on the Money in the Bank review. We talked about how anticlimactic the end of that match was. You know, all the women fighting on the ladders and Nikki Cross coming out of nowhere and just grabbing the briefcase. Anticlimactic as hell. And the cash-in was even more anticlimactic. Because honestly, I was not thinking about Nikki Cross at all. I had forgotten that she had won Women's Money in the Bank the night before. I thought the only reason why the Raw Women's Championship rematch took place in the main event, kid you not, because I thought Becky Lynch was going to return. I really did think that. And I'm still surprised that Becky's not back. We all thought Becky would be back before SummerSlam. I honestly thought Charlotte was going to beat Rhea Ripley in that rematch. And I kept looking at the clock and I was like, wait a minute. You know, there's only 3 minutes left in the show. Unless they're going like 5 minutes into the 11 o'clock hour, right? Becky's not going to have enough time to come back. So I was like, what are they doing here? And all of a sudden, Rhea hits the riptide on Charlotte on the outside of the floor, and Nikki Cross comes out, and I'm just like, wow. Like, I kid you not, guys. I had forgotten that Nikki Cross was Women's Money in the Bank. I really did forget. And then she cashes in, and she becomes the Raw Women's Championship, or the Raw Women's Champion. And here's the thing. You could tell WWE didn't give a shit about it. Because Nikki's celebration on TV was 30 seconds. She won the title, and then 30 seconds later, the show was over. They gave you no time to celebrate with Nikki Cross because the show was already running over. This is the kind of bullcrap I'm talking about. Yeah, you know, and the sad thing is, you're going to have the fucking casuals, the guys with no brain. They're going to be the ones to say, this was a great show, right? Oh, all the returns, all the re-debuts, right? New champion, shocking moments. This was not a good show. This was not a good show. Not because they didn't try. No, it's not. This show was not bad because they didn't try. This show was bad because the WWE creative staff and Vince McMahon are illogical idiots. They don't make any sense with the decisions they make. They don't sit down and use their fucking brains that God blessed them with. They don't sit down and think, oh, does this make actual sense? Does it make sense for Karrion Kross, a guy that can be a future world champion? Does it make sense for him to actually lose? Does it make sense that Keith Lee, a guy that could be a future world champion, does it make sense for him after not being on TV all of this year and people asking, oh, where has he been? Right? Does it make sense for him to come back and then lose to Bobby Lashley to be a fucking gateway for Goldberg? Does that make sense? Does it make sense for Goldberg to deserve a championship opportunity when he lost to Drew McIntyre for the same title at the Royal Rumble this year? Why does Goldberg get to come back and get another championship opportunity when he can't wrestle for more than 5 minutes? Does it make sense? They give Charlotte another championship reign, trying to fool the audience's IQ level, right? Trying to fool their intelligence level by saying she's an 11-time world champion, when in reality, she's won 14 women's championships. And then have her hold the title for one day just so they could give it to Nikki Cross and not even make the title win feel special or important. This is the problem. Look, they tried to make this an epic show, but they failed on every level because of the lack of critical thinking. We go to school to learn how to make critical decisions. I studied communications in college. Half of my freaking education was learning about how to make proper management decisions. Something that Vince McMahon and his creative staff lack. I don't get how they can make themselves look like such idiots. I don't get it. They tried to make this a good show, and they failed because of the lack of logic. If Triple H was in charge, that would not be the case. That would not be the case. Triple H would actually think these things through. But instead, Vince thinks of one thing, doesn't think it out, just says, "Oh, go out there and make it happen," and then boom. I'm forced to sit in this chair, behind this mic, behind this camera, and try to make sense of this. Guys, I can't make sense of this show tonight. I can't. It's a bunch of idiotic garbage. That's what it is at the end of the day. That's what it is. SmackDown was decent for the most part. Money in the Bank, you take the negatives aside, it was an epic night. And then to top it all off, no, instead of building on that momentum, they decide to go back to the same idiotic decision making that has made Monday Night Raw garbage for the last half a decade. And the sad thing about it is, we're going to SummerSlam with this illogical booking on Raw. I talked about last night on Money in the Bank how I was actually excited for SummerSlam. And a little bit of that excitement is still there. But man, oh man, what a fucking flat tire to have on the road to SummerSlam. Terrible, terrible, terrible show, man. Fucking ridiculous, people. Really. I truly don't understand it. I don't. You have fans back in attendance. And after everything that we went through with this pandemic, you would think that, they would actually try to make this road to SummerSlam epic. And SmackDown, they're trying, and they tried at Money in the Bank. But man, Raw will never change. I think we're all convinced of that. Even with fans back, Raw will never change as long as Vince McMahon is in charge. And I don't know what else to say. I could end the review right here. I could if I really wanted to. But I need a sip of my water. Hold up, man. Oof. Look at, man, there was a lot of stuff said in the chat. I'm going to go through it really quick, but let me do the intro. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy FitzMonkTV here, aka GLauren33. I want to welcome you guys back here to the Legit Suit Podcast. This is your Monday Night Raw review and results for July 19, 2021. Thank you guys for joining me, as always, for all of the support. For those of you guys who supported me with the SmackDown review, the Money in the Bank review, which is live on the channel right now, for those of you guys who missed it, and now with the Monday Night Raw review here tonight. Right? Man, I am animated because I just don't get it. I don't get how they could continue to make the same illogical decisions every single time. Like, I'm sorry. People, and what's fucking ridiculous, you're gonna have the casuals say, We got a big title change, right? Nikki Cross wins the Raw Women's Championship, and I'm happy for Nikki Cross. I want to be happy for Nikki Cross. But the way this came together was fucking dumb. And it really didn't do anything for Nikki Cross in the long run. How long do you guys truly believe Nikki Cross is going to hold that title? You guys really think Nikki Cross is going to have a legitimate Raw Women's Championship reign? Here's the question you guys should be asking. Do you really think Nikki Cross is going to walk in the SummerSlam Raw Women's Champion? Do you guys really think Nikki Cross is going to walk in the SummerSlam the Raw Women's Champion? Have you guys forgotten how this girl has been booked the last 3 years? Yes, she won Money in the Bank, and yes, she got a big title victory last night, or tonight on Raw. But do you guys really think WWE is that invested in Nikki Cross, and they want to build her as a face of the Raw Women's division? No! I would not be surprised if next week on Raw, they do the rematch and Charlotte gets the title back. They did the moment right just because they wanted to have a big moment to end the show. I would be shocked if Nikki Cross walks into SummerSlam as the Raw Women's Champion. Shocked. You're going to have the casuals say, oh, John Cena, and yes, Cena's great, and we'll get to him in a little bit. But you're going to have the casuals say, John Cena, Keith Lee's back. Oh my gosh, oh, Goldberg, the legend. Right, Karrion Kross's debut. Jeff Hardy back with his old theme song, No More Worlds. And then Nikki Cross winning the Raw Women's Championship to end the show. It was an epic night. How could you say this was a bad show, Fitz? Because I know how to analyze the fucking product. I don't just take everything that WWE gives me and shove it up my ass. When you look at the show with a fucking brain and you know how these people and these idiots think, then you will know what's good and what's not. And tonight on Raw, 85% of what we got was not good. Let me go through the chat real quick, man. I see a lot of you guys agree with me, saying that you lost your brain cells. Right. Shout out to KCMOD for the $5 super chat. You guys know I don't require you guys to donate, right? I always say if you guys want to, I appreciate it, and everything that you guys give does go back into the channel to improve and get better. So KCMOD with the $5 super chat says Nikki Cross deserves the belt, but not with this gimmick. I completely agree with you. I want to see Nikki Cross succeed. I know how good Nikki Cross is. I talk about how great she was in NXT all the time and how WWE fucked her up when she got to the main roster. I talk about it all the time. But not like this. This is not the proper way to get Nikki Cross over. Do you guys honestly think, I will ask it again, do you guys honestly believe Nikki Cross is going to be viewed as a priority on this show going forward? No. I would be surprised if she walked into SummerSlam Raw Women's Champion. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. It's like people say, oh man, don't you see Fitz? Nikki Cross winning tonight. She's a new star in the Raw Women's division. No. They've done nothing to make me believe that Nikki Cross is going to be built as a legitimate Raw Women's Champion. Nothing. I don't think she's going to hold that title for a month. I want to be wrong, but I don't trust this company. Next week, I will be surprised. I won't be surprised. In the next couple of weeks, Charlotte gets that title back, and then they call her the 15th-time Women's Champion. Imagine that. Imagine if Charlotte regains the title next week. Right? She regains the title next week. And in 6 years, right? 6 years. 6 years of her being on the main roster. Her being potentially a 6-time Raw Women's Champion. A 5-time SmackDown Women's Champion. A 1-time Divas Champion. A 2-time NXT Women's Champion. And a Women's Tag Team Champion. That would make her a 15-time Women's Champion in WWE. John Cena one of the all-time greats, who is going for his 17th world title at SummerSlam against Roman Reigns. In nearly 20 years, John Cena's been with the company now for 18, 19 years, right? 2002, 2003 was when he made his debut. So in nearly 2 decades, it took 2 decades for Cena to win 17 world titles. In nearly just 6 years, not even a third of the time that Cena was with the company. In the 6 years Charlotte's been with WWE on the main roster, and including her time in NXT, she would have been a 15-time women's champion. Fucking ridiculous. I don't care if you're a Charlotte Flair fan or not. If you like that, you need help. Fucking ridiculous. Going through the chat, man. Gregory says Becky's going to SmackDown with Nikki as champion. It makes no sense for Becky to face Nikki Cross. That's not the fucking point, Gregory. This is not about Becky Lynch. Like, what? No. It's the fact that the Raw Women's Championship is being freaking handed over, it's being booked like a fucking hot potato toy. In less than 24 hours, we've had 3 Raw Women's Champions. 3! What was the point of giving Charlotte the title last night if you're going to have her hold the title for 24 hours? What was the point? It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. So, Gregory, try to use some common sense. I feel like every review, I have to, educate you. And you've been subscribed to the channel for a good amount of time. So, I'm going to honestly tell you to use your brain a little bit more for me. This has nothing to do with Becky Lynch. This has nothing to do with Becky going to SmackDown. This is about the Raw Women's division being treated like a joke. And yes, I saw what Becky said to Charlotte. I don't really care about that right now. My boy Paul says Karrion Kross is the worst NXT champion ever, by the way. You might be right. I don't know. There's been many, NXT champions. Many. I don't know if there has been a bad NXT champion when I think about it. No matter Finn Balor's, the Samoa Joes, the Bobby Roodes, the Shinsuke's, the Johnny Garganos, the Adam Coles, the Tommaso Ciampas, the Karrion Kross. I don't know who's the worst NXT champion. But it looks like the way they want to book him on Raw, maybe Karrion Kross should be given that title as the worst NXT champion of all time. I don't know. Just going through the chat a little bit more. Paul says at least No More Words is back. Who gives a shit, bro? Who gives a shit? Anything that they did with Jeff Hardy's new theme being back was overshadowed, right, by Karrion Kross, with them ruining his theme, right? Where's the fucking TikTok? Where's Scarlett? And why was he pinned? Casey, I agree with you. JD said it best on Twitter. They're turning the Raw Women's title into the 24/7 title. You're correctly right. Paul says Big E's going to cash in on Lashley at SummerSlam, and that's the part that really matters. Does it? Does it really? Yes. If Big E cashes in on SummerSlam, it will be epic. But Bill Goldberg does not deserve this opportunity at all. He should not be on the screen at all. He doesn't deserve another world championship match. But they keep giving it to him. Why? There's nothing else you can do with Goldberg? There's nobody else you can have him face? I don't want to see a world championship match on the second biggest show of the year. You want to make SummerSlam into the biggest show of the year, right? But yet you're going to give us Goldberg and Bobby Lashley. A match is going to get not even 1 star, not even half a star. Because Goldberg can't wrestle. I don't care, man. Yes, Biggie cashing in is, if he does cash in SummerSlam, it will be an epic moment. But, someone else deserves that shot against Bobby Lashley. We should be getting a classic world title match at SummerSlam. Not a squash match, not a match that's going to be absolutely a piss break, right? Because Goldberg, let's be honest, Lashley and Goldberg, that's a piss break. Because we know how the match is going to go. Doesn't matter if Biggie cashes in. We deserve a legit world title match at SummerSlam. A match that's going to go 15 to 20 minutes. And that's going to hype us all up. It's going to be something we talk about. We shouldn't just be talking about the moment of Biggie winning the title at SummerSlam if that happens like we all think it will. We should also be talking about the match that leads to that moment. Going back through the chat, I see my boy Anthony talking. You're completely right. Completely right. The show did die after Cena. The show started and peaked when John Cena left the ring. When John Cena sang that duet with Matt Riddle, the show peaked. And never again got even close to being back on the right track. You are completely right. Charlotte has the four shortest reign. Charlotte has the shorter reigns with 4 different women's championships: Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and Women's Tag. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Charlotte has the shortest Raw Women's Championship reign now, right? Remember when it was Sasha, when Sasha held that title for 8 days? Now Charlotte gets to hold that fucking title and that record. A record that will probably never be broken, right? Charlotte holding the Raw Women's Championship for less than 24 hours. Then remember when she beat Bayley? I didn't even mention that, right? Money in the Bank, 2019, I believe. When Charlotte beat Becky for the title, and then Bayley cashed in that same night. So Charlotte has 2 of the shortest SmackDown Women's Championship reigns of all time. She also has a very short NXT Women's Championship reign. Because in NXT, for the most part, they know how to actually book their champions. So Charlotte's NXT Women's Championship reign, her second one, is actually viewed as a short reign for a women's champion. And then the women's tag titles, which is actually very interesting. And now that we are all caught up on the chat, I guess it's time for us to actually get into the show, right? Oh, fucking hell, man. Fucking bullshit. This show was ass, bro. This show was fucking ass. There is no way you could defend any of this garbage. You can't. Bad news, I just choked on my water. I've been drinking water like crazy these past couple of days. But man, this company is ass. This company is ass. And it's mainly Monday Night Raw. Whew, what a start to the podcast, man. What a start. We're already 30 minutes in. Crazy. But we're going to go through the show like we always do, even though I could, if I wanted to, I could end the review here. But, excuse me. We're going to go through the show like we always do.
I've sensed your life force fading for a while now. I believe your life in this realm is coming to an end.
Come on, don't do this to me. Don't.
Let me pull up the notes from Bleacher Report. Man, fuck this show, bro. Give me just a sec, guys, while I load it up. First thing I see is fucking Goldberg when I search up WWE's YouTube channel. But, of course, the only thing that I enjoyed about this show probably was John Cena. John Cena is epic. John Cena is one of the GOATs. He is still fantastic at what he does. Everybody was talking last night about the return of John Cena at Money in the Bank. In my opinion, one of the greatest pops in the history of this company. An absolute epic moment, right? Nothing will... I don't know, man. I was thinking about this all day. I don't know if there's any pop that we've seen on the level of that. That was one of the greatest pops in WWE history. We talk about when John Cena returned at 2008 in the Royal Rumble. You think about Edge, right? When Edge made his comeback at the Royal Rumble last year. You think about The Rock returning to WWE in 2011, right? You think there's so many great pops in the history of WWE, but that was honestly one of the greatest pops in WWE history. And, look, there's very few people that can get a pop like that in the company, right? I don't even think Sasha Banks or Becky Lynch returning could get a pop like that. You would have to get somebody maybe on the level of The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin to get a pop close to what we heard last night for John Cena. That's probably the greatest John Cena pop of all time. All right, but everyone's been talking about what he would say on Monday Night Raw, and most of us knew it was going to be about Roman Reigns, right? The only reason why John Cena was on Monday Night Raw, really, was to give a boost to the ratings because everyone was going to be talking about John Cena's return at Money in the Bank. And John Cena, he's technically a free agent. He could be on Raw and be on SmackDown. So putting Cena on Raw the night after Money in the Bank, that's going to be a huge lead into Monday Night Raw. Everyone, because Cena said he was opening the show. So, of course, people are going to be watching the opening of the show to see John Cena, one of the all-time greats of WWE, and seeing what he was going to say, even though most likely it was going to be about Roman Reigns. I did put out maybe we would see Cena in action, maybe against Matt Riddle or Drew McIntyre, just to give us like some kind of big match attraction for the main event. But Cena just cut a promo, and it was a great promo, right? And he also said that he would be on SmackDown. And I do expect to see Cena on SmackDown going forward. We don't know how long Cena's going to be back, but I do expect Cena to be on SmackDown basically every week in the build-up to SummerSlam. And I actually have a theory on what we could see in the build-up to the Cena and Roman Reigns match to SummerSlam. But first, I'll play Cena's promo for you guys.
Confusion and the chaos. I love the confusion and the chaos and the electricity. There's a few of you chanting, welcome back. A few of you chanting, let's go Cena. A few of you chanting, Cena sucks. But you're all loud, and we are all here.
Look at, man, the reaction that Cena can get out of the crowd is unmatched. No matter if you like Cena or if you hate him, he gets a reaction every time. There's very few superstars in WWE history that can get a reaction no matter what they do.
I am here tonight to explain myself after an unexpected John Cena meme-like return last night at Money in the Bank. Roman Reigns was angry, Paul Heyman was confused, Michael Cole was very excited, Pat McAfee still couldn't see me, and everybody had a lot of questions. Who, what, when, where, why? So let's get them all out there. Who brought me back to the WWE?
The WWE Universe. You don't knew that.
That one's a layup. Look around. It was you guys. And it was Roman Reigns. So that brings me to the what. What am I here for? The WWE Universal Championship.
There it is. It makes the intentions known. Not wasting no time.
When? About 5 weeks from now, a little event called SummerSlam. Where? Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas. That's a pretty safe place to bet. Why? Here's where it gets interesting. I could stand here excited and tell you about the pageantry of SummerSlam, about being a main event in a packed stadium, I could tell you about a history-making, record-breaking 17th championship win. It's not because of any of that. It's because Roman Reigns is an ass.
This is what makes John Cena great and one of the all-time greats on the mic. Every time he picks up a mic, he tells you a story that you are engaged in. This was great. And I'm not even at the end of his promo yet, right? We know Cena wants number 17. We know he wants to make history. And we know that he doesn't have many years left. He's not in his prime anymore. He's on the back end. He's still fantastic, but he's in the later years of his career. He could retire any day now. He's in Hollywood. He has other things that he's doing. WWE is not his number one priority anymore. But even though he is going back for the Universal Championship, a title that he's never won. He's never won that world title. He's won the WWE Championship. He's won the World Heavyweight title, but he's never won the Universal Championship. But he's going after Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns is the opposite of everything that John Cena stands for. Cena calls Roman Reigns an asshole. It would be easy for Cena to go after Bobby Lashley, right? I feel like if we're being honest with ourselves here, Cena would find Bobby Lashley as an easier opponent. They get that number 17th, that 17th World Championship reign. But because of the dominance that Roman Reigns has been on and the way he's done it, proclaiming himself as the head of the table, proclaiming himself as, everyone being beneath him and how everyone must acknowledge him, right? That's not who Cena is. Cena's like, you got to earn respect. You got to earn acknowledgement from these people, right? Even though this is a far different Roman Reigns than the Roman Reigns Cena faced back at No Mercy in 2017, even though this is a different guy that's on a whole different level, his cockiness, his attitude, everything about him has completely changed. And Cena doesn't respect that. Cena may have respected the guy he faced in 2017. He doesn't respect this guy. And he wants to treat him the ultimate lesson in respect. And that is beating him at SummerSlam on the biggest stage for his 17th World Championship. It makes perfect sense. It tells a perfect story. And if Roman Reigns wins at SummerSlam, it just continues one of the greatest dominant runs in the history of this company. Right? And some people want Roman Reigns to hold that title forever. And maybe that should be the case. But I'm going to sit here and be honest with you guys. I want to see Cena win number 17. As great as Roman Reigns is, I want to see Cena get that 17th World Championship reign. Because if he doesn't do it now, how many more opportunities is he going to do it? And if he was the one to beat Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, would it anger people? I don't know. But me being honest, I want to see Cena win number 17. And the story here is absolutely perfect. No matter if Reigns or Cena wins, we have all month, right? We have 5 weeks of discussion. We have plenty of time to give our predictions and talk about where we see this going. But the thing that makes this so great is the story. This is an epic story of two of the greatest of all time going at it, the battle, right? Two people with completely different mindsets, two completely different ways of how they live their lives. Two top stars going at it for the biggest prize in the entire company on the biggest stage. It's an epic story, and I cannot wait to see how this feud unfolds. And I'll talk about that a little bit more after I play the rest of Cena's promo.
And I believe he needs to be knocked down a peg. This pathetic Roman Reigns experience has gone on long enough. Roman Reigns is an arrogant, self-absorbed, overhyped, overprotected, overexposed gimmick who's not as over as he says he is. And that is coming from me.
That is coming from me.
You know,
because for years, right? For years, people said that Cena was overexposed, overhyped, and all these other things, right? How he buried everybody in the company. But now, right? Cena's gone for an X amount of time, and people are calling him, filling his inbox up. When are you coming back? When are you coming back? When are you coming back? And that leads to what we saw in Money in the Bank, one of the greatest pops, one of the greatest returns in WWE history. So everything Cena says makes sense with this story, which is why we're so invested in this story and why this build to SummerSlam is going to be epic with Cena and Reigns.
Saying, if you're good, you'll tell everybody. If you're good, you will demand that they acknowledge you, if you're good. Now, Dallas, you remember that team effort I was talking about when you was making all that noise? What'd that sound like? No. Come on, this is your chance to shine. What'd that sound like?
Cena knows how to get a crowd
this
riled up.
section. I don't so much hear this section. What did that sound like? Hey, Roman, the rest of that saying is, if you're great, they tell you. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be at SmackDown on Friday, and I can't wait to see you there. So now I got that off my chest. Let's get down to business.
And Matt Riddle comes out.
This could be very interesting.
First time Matt Riddle and John Cena get to interact in a WWE ring.
Dude,
and this was great. This was fantastic.
I finally get it. Bro.
Look, man, that fucking 30-second interaction with Matt Riddle and John Cena was fucking fantastic. Now I see people on Twitter saying, I need duets. I demand a John Cena and Matt Riddle album just called Bro. That was great. That was fucking great, man. This is what John Cena does. Love him or hate him, the guy, you care what he says. Anytime he picks up a microphone and he's entertaining. That was a great. I actually thought for a second we were potentially gonna get a John Cena and Matt Riddle match, but tonight wasn't the night for that. But still, great interaction with Cena and Matt Riddle. And like I said, this is where the show peaked. The show peaked right here, and it never got back to that level because of the illogical decision making from WWE. Right, but look, Cena's gonna be there on Friday to confront Reigns in what should be epic. I expect Roman to accept Cena's challenge, and we'll see where the story goes. I could honestly see something happening, like maybe I want to see a contract signing, of course, right? Because it makes sense, because it's Cena and fucking Roman Reigns, and the promo segments between these two are going to be fucking epic. I talked about this last night. Remember how epic the promo segment was between Cena and Roman Reigns from a couple years ago, 2017, when they fought at No Mercy. Remember how epic that moment was and how epic that promo segment was. It's one of Cena's greatest promos of all time. How he absolutely took Roman Reigns to school. This Roman Reigns is on a whole nother level. So I think it's safe to say that, Cena, even though Cena's one of the greatest promos of all time, Reigns, at the level he's operating now, he can hold his own against Cena. And, so we definitely need to get another contract signing between those two. I can also see something like maybe we get a Cena versus Seth Rollins match. Because we saw Seth, he cost Edge the Universal Championship at Money in the Bank because he believed Edge, cut the line because Seth made it clear how he wanted Roman Reigns next. Now Cena has kind of cut the line, right? And even though we expect to get Seth Rollins and Edge at SummerSlam, I could definitely see Seth getting mad at Cena. And maybe we get a Cena versus Seth Rollins match in the next couple weeks on SmackDown. Because I do think Cena needs to, at least show us that the ring rust is in there. Because remember, Cena has had a legit match, in 2 years. Because remember, the Firefly Funhouse match at WrestleMania last year, that was not a match. It was a cinematic experience. So, and I don't remember the last legit match Cena had on WWE television. So, I think a Cena vs. Seth Rollins match, would be great for a main event of SmackDown. It would make sense, going with the story that they're telling with both Edge and Roman Reigns. And then, it would help Cena lose that ring rush. Because I think Cena should have at least 1 or 2 matches on SmackDown. Especially since SmackDown, we have 5 SmackDowns before SummerSlam. We have plenty of time to tell this story with Cena and Reigns. Plenty of time. So I think that they should definitely do that, to have Cena lose that ring rust on the road to SummerSlam. Then if they want, imagine how epic it would be if they did, at the main event of one of these SmackDowns, a mixed tag team match. Maybe at the end of a Cena and Seth match, we see Roman and Edge come out, right? And all 4 men start brawling. What if the week after that, we get Cena and Edge, 2 Hall of Famers, right? 2 legends of the past, going up against 2 greats of the present in Rollins and Roman. We know Rollins and Roman, they have their history from being in the Shield. Imagine we get a main event where we get Cena and Edge going up against Roman and Seth. That would be fucking fantastic. So if WWE wants to do, I'm just throwing out suggestions if they want to make this story epic with Cena and Reigns on the road to SummerSlam, right? Having Cena and Reigns have a contract signing. Having Cena and Seth Rollins having a match to help Cena lose some of that ring rust. And it also makes sense to the story. And then maybe even doing a tag team match with Cena and Edge teaming up to go up against Roman and Seth. Look, I said, I feel like I know how to book most of the stuff on WWE television better than the people who fucking get paid to do this for a living. I truly feel that way, man. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section, man. But I feel like that would be an absolute epic way to tell the story of Cena and Reigns, since we have 5 SmackDowns on the road to SummerSlam. But that's my thoughts. But like I said, this show peaked at the beginning with John Cena. It just never recovered. But great stuff here from Cena, and I cannot wait to see where the story goes with Roman. Very excited to see the interaction with Cena and Roman this Friday on SmackDown. Should be absolutely epic. So in the first match, right, to start off the night, the first match on Monday Night Raw post-pandemic with fans, Matt Riddle and the Viking Raiders versus John Morrison, AJ Styles, and Almas. We know that AJ and Almas retained against the Viking Raiders, and what was actually a pretty good match last night at Money in the Bank. This was a decent, 6-man tag team match. It wasn't anything too crazy, right? It wasn't too crazy. It was a decent match. I didn't hate this that much. A little bit halfway through, we did have Miz at ringside, who, while him and Morrison made his entrance, he fired off the drip stick at Byron Saxton, and the drip stick is actually becoming kind of popular in the WWE universe. People are kind of liking, the whole drip stick and how that's part of John Morrison. John Morrison even told Mike Rome, the announcer, how he wanted to be pronounced as the moist man in WWE, I believe it was called, right? And it goes with the whole gimmick John Morrison has been portraying. So, Morrison tagged in. Riddle took him down with a submission right away. Morrison countered and hit a few strikes before Riddle unloaded with some hits of his own. Aaron Ivar took over and double-teamed Morrison to keep him isolated. Then, we come back from break we see Riddle getting beat down by Almas. So then Morrison came in and failed to make Riddle tap out. So then Eric got the hot tag, and then Styles went for the phenomenal blitz, but Eric was able to block it and be able to take the advantage back for his team. So then we had some more tags, and then we see Riddle. Riddle grabbed Miz's dripstick because Miz was in his wheelchair, and then he sprayed the dripstick on Almas. Almas thought it was Miz because when he turned around, Riddle had threw the dripstick back on Miz, and then Miz had basically to make a slow retreat. Of course, this is what they do, right? It's the same shit with Almas all the time. Either have something distract him at ringside so he doesn't get involved in the finish of the match, or they just they just have Styles take the beat down and have Almas tag in for the win. Like I said last time on the Money in the Bank review, I'm over Almas. I'm over it. I truly am over it, right? So anyway, so then we see after that distraction, we see Eric and Ivar, they hit the Viking experience on Morrison, and they got the win. And then it was announced for next week that we would be getting a rematch. I fucking hate when this company does this. I don't see why they have to do this all the time. It was announced that next week on Raw, we would be getting a rematch with AJ and Almas defending their Raw Tag Team Championships against the Viking Raiders. Why? Because WWE has no creativity. This made no sense to me. Like, they didn't even pin AJ or Almas. They pinned Morrison. So why do the Viking Raiders get another chance at the Raw Tag Team Championships when they didn't even pin a member of the championship team? I don't get it. So my thinking is if they're doing this next week, right, maybe after the match we see Randy Orton return to either RKO, Styles, or Almas, and that will finally set the stage and put things in motion to get RK Bro against the Viking, to get RK Bro versus Styles and Almas for the Raw Tag Team Championships at SummerSlam. That is what I would do, and that's what WWE should do. No questions asked. I don't know why Randy Orton come back. I thought he would come back tonight, actually. I honestly thought there was a chance he would come out after the 6-man tag. But, I don't know why Orton's still out. I don't know if he's on vacation or he's dealing with some kind of nagging injury. But I'm hoping we do get him back next week, because I feel like, AJ and Almas against RK Bro and potentially RK Bro winning the Raw Tag Team Championships at SummerSlam. That would make for a really cool moment. So we'll see what happens. So next up, we had Elias versus Ryker in a Sympathy of Destruction match. This is something we've seen so many times with Elias, especially Elias, because if you guys think about it, right? Elias has, his gimmick is, of course, he's a guitar player, and he always gets interrupted, right? How many Sympathy of Destruction matches has we actually seen, Elias in? I think we saw him in one with Braun Strowman, when Strowman was still with the company a couple years ago on Raw. I think he did one with Jeff Hardy during the pandemic while they were in the Thunderdome, right? And then we saw one tonight. And who knows? Maybe I'm missing one. Let me just search it up real quick. But those are the 3 Elias Sympathy of Destruction matches that I remember. Let me look. Sympathy. Yeah, so. Oh, yeah, we also had on SmackDown Braun Strowman and Elias versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. So, yeah, we've had, Elias has had 4 Sympathy of Destruction matches on his time on Raw, and he's only won one, and that was when he was like babyface for like 5 minutes, when he teamed up with Braun Strowman against Nakamura and Cesaro. So there was nothing special here, right? Elias got a decent pop. Elias got a decent pop when he did the Walk with Elias gimmick. But like I said, Elias has been doing the same gimmick now on Raw for about 5 years. Most of us are over it at this point. We're over it. The guy really is never going to be nothing more than a mid-card guy, a stale mid-card guy. I'm over Elias at this point. And I was never invested in this feud with Jackson Ryker to begin with. You're trying to make me believe in Jackson Ryker as a babyface, and I'm not feeling it. I don't think I'm ever really going to be feeling it. I'm not a fan of Jackson Ryker, and I don't think I ever will be, if I'm being honest with you guys here. But we see Ryker, he gave a quick promo before the match. This match wasn't bad, it's just I don't care. I'm not invested in either one of these men. I don't care about their feud. I will keep saying it. These two probably should stay a heel tag team. Just have another team in the tag team division. I never cared about Ryker, being turned into a babyface. I never cared about this feud. I don't care. I don't care about Jackson Ryker or Elias. There's nothing you can do to ever make me care about it. Right? Look, nothing, like I said, the match wasn't bad. It just wasn't special. They hit each other with instruments around the ring, from guitars to cellos to pianos, right? Elias hit a flying knee to prevent Ryker from hitting him with a guitar. He followed up with a keyboard to the back before Ryker sent him into a gong. We came back from commercial. Elias was in control. We saw Ryker then recover and slam Elias on top of a piano. Elias beat Ryker down with a huge cello for another near fall. And then we saw Elias start bleeding from the head. And then, this was actually a pretty cool spot at the end. Ryker hit a superplex through 2 tables to get the victory for himself. And that's how this ended, right? The superplex spot looked pretty cool. And, they broke the tables cleanly. Ryker gets the victory, but I just didn't care. I just don't care. Like, what, are you going to build Ryker up into potentially a future United States champion? Right? Should Sheamus be watching his back for fucking Ryker now? I don't think so. So, look, it was a decent match for what it was, but I was never invested in this feud to begin with. I never really cared. It is what it is. Move on. Move on. I better not see these two in a rematch next week, man. You did what it did, and it's done. Everyone just move on with our lives. Next up, we had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Natalya and Tamina. Another match I didn't care about, right? Look, I don't care about the women's tag team titles at all. If Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox end up winning those titles on SmackDown, sure. Congrats. I'll be happy for them because I want to see those two succeed. Those two will have a future of being big names in the women's division. But I don't care about Natalya and Tamina at all as a team. I don't care about Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax at all as a team. So, it makes sense how I didn't care for this match, right? Look, we talked about last night on the Money in the Bank review how Natalya and Tamina, as a team, they sucked all the energy of that women's Money in the Bank match. Anytime the other superstars try to get something going, Tamina and Natalya would come in and suck all the energy out of the match. Even the crowd didn't care about them at all. So I just don't care about these two as a team. And so this match was just whatever. Right? So we saw, Jackson Baszler, they double teamed Natalya, but couldn't keep her down for a 3 count. We saw Shayna stomp on her arm to soften her up. Then we saw Natalya took Jax down with a series of clotheslines. So then we saw Tamina hopped on the apron and tagged herself in. She kicked Jax off the apron and hit Baszler with a body slam before climbing to the top rope. Reginald distracted her so that Baszler could recover. Then we saw Tamina super kick Baszler for the pin and the win. And then after the match, Nia Jax, who had like a new hairstyle, right? Looked like she did like some kind of twist out. After the match, we saw Nia headbutt Reginald. So it looks like finally, after like who knows how long this dumbass relationship was, we saw it looks like Nia Jax, her relationship with Reginald was over. Shayna and Nia had each other's back as Reginald, was sad in the ring. but never cared. You guys know I never cared about Reginald. I bitched him on all the time how much of a negative influence he was on the Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair feud. So I'm glad that this storyline is over because he was just a cancer to the women's division, just a pure cancer. He did nothing to elevate that women's division at all, not a smidget of a percent. So I didn't care, right? And I'm glad this is over, but Reginald was able to redeem himself afterwards. Akira Tozawa ran to the ring with people chasing him for the 24/7 title. Reginald took him out with a couple of acrobatic moves and was able to get a pinfall to win the 24/7 championship. So Reginald is the new 24/7 champion. He did some backflips to evade his new prey, right? His new competition, and he walked out as the new 24/7 champion, right? I still don't understand why the 24/7 championship is even on TV. There is nothing funny about it. Nobody gives a shit about the 24/7 title anymore. So why are we wasting time by putting it on TV? It shouldn't be there. Simple as that. So I don't know why, we're still wasting time with the 24/7 title. The title is absolutely useless and a waste of time. It adds no value to the show at all. I have no care to see fucking Reginald dodge people with his acrobatic gymnastic moveset, now on Raw each week. I have no care to see it. I don't even have a care to see R-Truth win the 24/7 title anymore. I just want the title banned from TV and this kept in the warehouse far, far away for the rest of the time. I have no care for the 24/7 championship at all. Zero. So, moving on, we had Sheamus versus Humberto Carrillo, number one contenders match. So now, I don't know, this was weird. For some reason, they were now calling some of these matches tonight, a championship contenders match. Basically, the way I interpret it is that the match itself, if you won the match and you were the non-champion, basically it would give yourself a future championship opportunity. But I don't know why they had to come up with this stupid, stipulation called championship contenders match. We all know if you beat a champion, for the most part, it's going to get you a future championship opportunity no matter who it is. So I don't know why they're now calling it by championship contenders match. It's ridiculous name, unnecessary. So, we know the rivalry that's been going on between Sheamus and Humberto Carrillo. This has been going on for months now. And basically, this match was pulled together by Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville as a rematch from last week because Sheamus had attacked Humberto backstage last week, so he was nowhere near 100% for his championship opportunity. So, if Humberto had won this match, he would have gotten their shot at the U.S. Championship. So, we saw that he used his speed to avoid Sheamus and sent him out of the ring. He hit a slingshot crossbody to the floor to take Sheamus down. Then he hit a crossbody from the top rope for a quick 2 count. Then we saw Damian Priest was watching backstage as Carrillo kept the upper hand with some kicks to the body. He tried to pull Sheamus' mask off, but ended up letting go. Sheamus grabbed him for a powerbomb onto the apron as we went to break, right? And then we saw Sheamus back in control with Carrillo in a headlock. Then we saw Carrillo fought out of it, but then Sheamus hit the Irish Curse backbreaker. Carrillo made another comeback and hit a Hurricane Rana from the top rope. Then, followed by a suicide dive. He nailed Sheamus with the missile dropkick, but still couldn't get the 3 count. And then at the end here, Sheamus drilled him with a bro kick on the button to get the win. So this is seemingly end now the storyline between Sheamus and Humberto now that he's beaten Humberto clean. He's beaten Humberto before, but now there's no reason to continue this stuff with Humberto and Sheamus. But the thing about it is, what's interesting is Damian Priest, right? The last couple weeks he's been, there as a support and a friend for Humberto. But I told you guys back at WrestleMania, right after uh, uh, after when Damien was still spending those late spring months feuding with Miz and Morrison, I told you guys Damian Priest has the looks to be a main event star. He would be perfect to be the guy built up to challenge Sheamus for the U.S. Championship at SummerSlam. We haven't seen much of Damian Priest as of late, right? But, still, I would love to see Sheamus versus Damian Priest for the U.S. Championship. So maybe they do a number one contenders match, right? Maybe you can do like some kind of triple threat with Humberto and Ricochet and Damian Priest, and the winner gets to face Sheamus for the U.S. Championship. And in my opinion, that should be Damian Priest. I told you guys for months, Damian Priest and Sheamus should be the plan for SummerSlam. And hopefully now we're close to getting to that, right? I hope they follow through. But, yeah, that's the situation with the U.S. Championship. So next up, we had Bobby Lashley's Open Challenge. And we talked about, I ranted last night on the Money in the Bank review how unhappy I was with WWE for how they treated Kofi Kingston. I don't want to talk about it too much on this show because, go back and watch, especially for those who haven't yet, go check out the Money in the Bank review for my full rant about how WWE treated Kofi Kingston incorrectly, especially with that match last night. That was a disappointment. There was no need for Kofi Kingston, a former WWE champion, to be fucking squashed by Bobby Lashley to serve as a fucking gateway for Goldberg. So tonight, Lashley came out and, he was all business. He didn't have a suit on. He didn't have the woman, didn't have the champagne. He was all business. And let me see. I don't have the clip of Bobby Lashley's promo, but Bobby Lashley and MVP did cut a decent promo together. Talking about how he destroyed Kofi Kingston, and even though I'm unhappy with the way Kofi Kingston got treated last night at Money in the Bank, I don't even think they knew they were even on this show, right? Yeah, I don't even think they knew they were on this show. I was still impressed by the intensity that Lashley and MVP gave in their promo. MVP said that Dallas needs to show a little bit more respect to Bobby Lashley, but he understands because it's been so long since they've seen a champion, basically roasting the Cowboys. But either way, it was a good promo by Bobby, and, it would lead into the Open Challenge. We had no idea who it was going to be. I thought, maybe it was going to be Kofi Kingston, and then WWE was going to try to piss me off even more by having Kofi and Lashley give the match that they should have gave him Money in the Bank on free television tonight on Raw. But they didn't. Instead, we got the big return of Keith Lee. So happy that Keith Lee was back. Because you guys know I'm a pretty big Keith Lee fan, and for a time there, I thought Keith Lee was gonna end up on the cutting block. He was gonna get released around the same time that Strowman and freaking Aleister Black and Ruby Riott and some of these other names were released. I'm glad he wasn't, but and I'm glad that he's back. But this was a terrible way to re-debut Keith Lee. At first, Keith Lee came out and I was hyped. I tweeted it out. Everyone was excited because, we thought the guy was dead. But glad to see he finally got to make his return. And we thought, all right, Keith Lee and Bobby Lashley. I've said this before on the podcast. I know for a fact that I've said this before. I've said that Keith Lee has all the tools to be a future WWE champion. He has everything you need and you would ask out of somebody that could be a future WWE champion, right? And the fact that Vince said that Keith Lee needed to go back to the Performance Center, and the fact that he needed to go back and lose weight and all these other things just pissed me off because no, Keith Lee doesn't need that. You put Keith Lee on any other promotion, the guy's being built to be a world champion, just like he was in NXT. So, there was, because of all those reports we were seeing about how Vince thought about Keith Lee, I thought there was a chance that we would never see Keith Lee come back. But I was really happy when we saw him. I was hoping here that they would actually give us an actual match, even though we knew it wasn't a WWE Championship match. I thought this would be a match that would reestablish Keith Lee, right, as belonging in the main event scene. And instead, the match barely went, it was less than 10 minutes. This is a match that could have gone 15, 20 minutes, right? But instead, you make Bobby Lashley run through Keith Lee, absolutely run through Keith Lee, just to serve as the fucking gateway for Goldberg. So, the bell rang, right? They were slow to make contact. They locked up and fought for control, and then they reached a stalemate. They went at it again, and then Lashley backed Lee into a corner. He took a cheap shot instead of making a clean break, but Lee picked him up and planted him in 2 different corners. Lee hit a leapfrog before taking Lashley down with a crossbody. Lashley came back with a vengeance and beat him down as MVP talked loads of crap. Lashley picked up Lee but ended up being shoved into the ring post when he couldn't keep him up. MVP distracted him so that Lashley could take advantage again. And then we saw him hit a huge spear at ringside. So then we saw Lashley went for the Hurt Lock, but because of how massive Keith Lee is and with those huge shoulders, Lashley just couldn't lock it in. So he was able to hit a slam instead. He drilled Lee with another pin, and that was the thing. Look, man, this could have been a lot more. This could be a legit title feud. I've said this before. Because remember, this is not the first time that we've seen Keith Lee and Bobby Lashley interact in the ring. Remember, originally, Keith Lee did face Bobby Lashley back when he was the United States Champion earlier this year. That match wasn't much because WWE didn't give them much time to do anything on that show. And then, remember, it was originally supposed to be a triple threat at the Elimination Chamber with Keith Lee versus Bobby Lashley versus Matt Riddle. And then Keith Lee was mysteriously taken off that show, right? They said he was injured, and then he was gone for fucking 6 months. Keith Lee was originally supposed to win the title at that show. All the dirt sheets confirmed it. They absolutely confirmed it. And it's sad, right? It's sad that, Keith Lee did get injured and he never got to win that United States Championship. But man, I expected more from that match tonight. I really did. I'm not saying it was awful, but for the most part, Lashley dominated. Keith Lee got offense here and there, but for the most part, Lashley dominated and ran through Keith Lee just to get the fucking Goldberg, who he's not even going to have to really run through, right? He just has to wait 2 minutes for Goldberg to get fucking tired and then take him out that way. It just boggles my mind with these idiots, man. It just really boggles my mind how dumb this company can be. Keith Lee should be built up as a main event star. And I don't know. Maybe I could definitely see when we had the draft, Keith Lee getting a change of scenery and getting moved to SmackDown, right? A Keith Lee versus Roman Reigns feud would be great. There's so many great things there's so many feuds with Keith Lee that have yet to be done. But, I'm unhappy with the way Keith Lee got treated tonight. I knew he wasn't going to be beat Lashley, but I wish that they made him look a little more dominant, so he could come out of this match looking a little bit more respectable. And going forward, I just, there's so many matches we want to see with Keith Lee, but I just hope that they book him correctly. And I don't trust him too. I don't. Right? We don't even know if Vince's opinion has changed on Keith Lee. And I don't trust that it has. So who knows what's going to happen. I'm happy Keith Lee is back, man, but I don't trust WWE to book him correctly. I don't. Right? And I would absolutely, the anger I would have if I found that WWE released Keith Lee by the end of the year. Man, that would be absolutely, absolutely horrific, in my opinion. But, good to see Keith Lee back. I wish he got treated a little bit better here in this, segment with Bobby Lashley, man. But it is what it is. The worst thing is, like I've been fucking saying, I've said it maybe already 10 times in this fucking podcast, is that this was a fucking gateway. It was a fucking gateway to fucking the return of Goldberg. And I gotta chill. I'm saying it fucking a lot. But you guys can see how, that represents the anger on my face. So I'll play,
hey, it's
play
me,
the clip for you
Adrian.
guys.
People choose Sono Bello because they can permanently remove your fat in just one visit. My story, it starts 2 years ago. After having 2 kids,
Bobby Lashley to come out here and have the performance he had against Keith Lee 24 hours removed from a successful championship defense.
I said it once, I'll say it 1,000,000 times. Long may he reign.
A giant, last minute, a great athlete, incredibly agile. A giant, last minute, a great athlete, incredibly agile.
Oh.
And he stood almost no chance against that man.
What the?
Look, I'm just gonna pause it right here. There is no way you're gonna fucking tell me that all of that reaction was fucking organic. Sure, maybe part of it, right, was the shock of Goldberg coming back. Part of it maybe was that crowd was shocked because it came out of nowhere. Even though we fucking knew all weekend that Goldberg was coming back to face Bobby Lashley. I'm convinced that, you know, the majority of that reaction was piped in crowd noise for Goldberg. I am convinced that it was piped in crowd noise for Goldberg because there were so many unhappy people that found that when we found out that it was most likely going to be Goldberg versus Lashley at SummerSlam, people were like, what the fuck? No. If it's not Brock Lesnar, if it's not John Cena, we don't want to see anybody else. And then fucking Goldberg is the guy. You have Lashley fucking squash Kofi Kingston. You have fucking Lashley run through Keith Lee. 2 guys who could be main event stars. 2 guys that can be world champions on this show. You have them run through by Bobby Lashley just to get the fucking Goldberg. No. Because everyone knows. We all know what fucking Goldberg is capable of at this stage of his career. And it's not much. It is not much. So I'm convinced that a good amount of this was piped in crowd noise. Hell no. Hell no was that a real reaction. Fuck out of here.
He reigned. A giant, last minute, a great athlete, incredibly agile, and he stood almost no chance against that man. What?
I'm over Goldberg. I said it before. I am over Goldberg. I think most of this is piped in. So sure, a good amount of it might be people actually saying Goldberg, right? But still. Hell no. Organic my fucking ass. Still with that stupid ass fucking tee. Stupid ass fucking jeans.
It's Goldberg! Goldberg is here live on Raw!
And the man is making
Surprised he didn't come out fucking bleeding from headbutting a door.
He has beaten giants, he's beaten athletes, he's beaten champions. He's never beaten a legend like Goldberg.
WWE Hall of Famer, one of the baddest men to ever walk the planet Earth. Goldberg is back on Monday Night Raw.
Just when Bobby Lashley thought he was done, Lashley just got finished dominating Keith Lee, and look who's behind door number 2.
He walks right up to Lashley. He laughs.
I'm next! No, absolutely not tonight. Let's go, champ. Money. No, let's go. Come on, let's go. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Let's go, dog. Come on. Wow.
Yeah, Goldberg and his fucking steroid head ass.
Yeah, but Lashley wants to, that was a straight up challenge by Goldberg, and Lashley wants to do the damn thing right now.
I say let's do it right now.
These are 2 gladiators. Bobby is livid. The Almighty feels disrespected.
No, sorry. Nope, I'm not feeling it. Nope. Nope. Look, I said it earlier in the podcast. I'll probably repeat myself over and over and over again on the road to SummerSlam. I don't give a shit. I do not give a shit if this is leading to Big E cashing in. We should care about the championship match that leads to that moment of Big E's cash-in. It's SummerSlam. We should be getting a legit title match, not a 5-minute fucking horseshit of fucking Goldberg doing spears and trying to do a jackhammer just for, Lashley to kick out, hit him with a spear of his own, and then win. That's because that's going to be the match. We don't know it's going to be the match. We know Lashley could kill Goldberg if he wanted to. McIntyre said the same thing. McIntyre could kill Goldberg if he wanted to. He can't wrestle. And those guys who are excited for fucking Goldberg being back, you're fucking delusional. He does not deserve a world title match. Why does he get a world title match at 2 of the biggest shows of the year where he won't even give you a half-star performance? The guy sucks. The guy legit sucks. Nobody wants to waste our time with this shit anymore, man. Sorry, man. I don't care. I have no care for this feud with Goldberg and Lashley. Nothing. There is nothing you can do that's going to get me excited for it. Nothing. You guys are just focused on Big E's cash-in, but it's everything that's going to lead to that moment that should make that moment even more special. Sorry. I would rather us get another match with Kofi and Lashley, a legit title match this time, not a squash match. I would rather get a legit match with Kofi and Lashley than get this shit with Goldberg. Because we know what to expect. We know that there's nothing that Goldberg can do in the ring. Nothing at this stage of his career. And you guys all know I'm right. So if you're excited for fucking Goldberg being back, you're just dumb. You're truly just dumb. So get out of here with your fucking delusion. So, before we get back, I see player BHAI. I don't recognize you, but you're saying fuck off. Who are you saying fuck off to, mate? Are you talking to somebody in the chat, or are you talking to yours truly? Try to be more direct, right? If you're trying, I think he keeps saying it over and over and over again. Who are you saying fuck off to, right? Like, this is your moment to shine, player BHAL. Tell us who you tell to fuck off. And tell us why. At least have a reason. You're telling somebody to fuck off. Like what? So you were trying to get my attention? Why? Seems like a waste of time for me, bro. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know why you're spamming. There's no need to get my attention. If you, at least say something talk about wrestling. Don't just go trying to be a troll. I don't like trolls. That's not a prank. That's just you being a clown. Usually if you guys say something important in the chat, I will notice it and I will most likely respond. But don't be an idiot. Right? We don't need that 5-year-old little kid stuff. You want someone's attention, there's ways to get it without looking like a fool or a clown in the freaking build-up. But like I said, I have no care for Lashley and Goldberg. No care. And I will be probably repeating that on every single Raw review as we get closer and closer to SummerSlam. Next up, we had fucking Karrion Kross We had Karrion Kross versus Jeff Hardy.
After what happened tonight, have you made a decision on what you're going to do?
No, not yet. But even if I had, I probably wouldn't tell you. You have a very big decision to make. It's a moment you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. So I hope you choose logically and not emotionally, because in the end, it's not going to be Pete Dunne or Finn Balor. It's going to be me taking back the title that I never lost. Because time tells all, even for the ultimate opportunist. Sounds threatening. See, here's the thing with words like that, they can be motivating. That could motivate me to come back here. I don't know if you'd like that.
Yeah. Karrion Kross, man. Legendary in NXT. First night on Monday Night Raw. Made to be a fucking joke. So, they advertised it throughout the night, right? Karrion Kross making his debut. First off, no one's surprised that Karrion Kross remade his debut. The guy has been fast-tracked for the main roster. We all know that. We've all known that since he came back. We knew that even if he became NXT champion again, he would be fast-tracked towards the main roster because the guy's that damn good. He has everything to be a future WWE champion and main event WrestleMania. We all know that. But still, man, this shit is not how you do it. And the thing is, people were tweeting about it before his debut, right? Because we expect it all the time now with NXT call-ups. It happens on a regular basis that it doesn't even surprise us anymore when we see it. How many times have we seen someone get called up to the main roster and their theme is completely changed, like Keith Lee? Or how many times do we see someone get called up and their name is shortened, like Tegan Nox? Tegan Nox is now called Nox, and Shotzi Blackheart is just called Shotzi. We see that with so many NXT call-ups, because Vince does not know anything about these NXT characters. He doesn't watch takeovers. He doesn't watch NXT at all, and he makes it that much obvious every single fucking time. Triple H spends months and months and months making these characters special and preparing that when they go to the main roster, they'll be treated as huge acts with huge futures. But every single time someone gets called up, Vince doesn't care about the work that Triple H and Shawn Michaels and all these guys in NXT put into these superstars. He just sees what he wants to see, and he wants to make it his own. And he fucks up every single time. This has been years. This has been the better part of a decade with these NXT call-ups. I say this all the time. How many NXT call-ups have actually truly succeeded and became big names on the main roster? Outside of the Four Horsewomen, maybe you can make a case for Kevin Owens, right? But then I think about it, and I'm just like, it's hard. It truly is hard. Sure, Seth Rollins and Reigns, they were both in NXT. But you look at many of these main roster call-ups, and it's just like most of them are fucked up. Either they become afterthoughts, right? Or they just fall into the pit like everybody else, and everything that made them special in NXT means nothing on the main roster. Very few of them actually become big-name stars, right? And a good amount of them end up getting released 1 to 2 years after being on the main roster. Because Vince fucked them over so hard that WWE Creative ends up having nothing for them. And then they ask for the release. And that's why guys like Aleister Black, who should have already been a multi-time champion on the main roster, he's gone. And now he's in fucking AEW. Andrade, former NXT champion, now with AEW. The list goes on and on and on. Because Vince is so out of touch that he does not know what special is anymore. He's completely forgot what special is. And I feel so sorry for Triple H because he put so much into these characters, so much into the development, just for them to be fucked up and treated like absolute nothing. Why do you think Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa refuse to come to the main roster and will do anything to remain in NXT? It's because there's nothing special on the main roster for them. Tommaso Ciampa was one of the greatest NXT championship reigns of all time. One of the greatest heel runs in NXT history. But you think he would be given that type of story, that type of character development on the main roster? Nope. You think Johnny Gargano would have all the success on the main roster that he had in NXT? Nope. I don't even know Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa would ever win gold on the main roster because Vince doesn't see anything in them. We're talking about Damian Priest, right? We want Damian Priest to challenge Sheamus for the United States Championship. Is that ever going to happen? We don't even know. We want it to happen, but we don't even know if it ever will. Vince McMahon, he just sees appearance. That's what he sees. He sees a big man, right, that can do cool moves. He doesn't care about their character. He doesn't care about their entrance. Doesn't care about any of that shit. Karrion Kross, there was absolutely nothing wrong with his gimmick in NXT. Everything was perfect. Everything. To the tiniest little details. Everything about Karrion Kross was great in NXT. He had Scarlett, his real life fiance, with him, right? He had the TikTok of his entrance. And then you come to the main roster. He doesn't have Scarlett with him. The TikTok is gone. And he loses in his fucking debut. I don't get it. I truly don't get how they can fuck somebody up that badly. What's the point of an NXT call-up? Right? Because we say it all the time. NXT call-ups are treated like fucking demotions on the main roster. They truly are. There's nothing special about them. How the fuck do you fuck up Karrion Kross? He has everything to be like Brock Lesnar. When Brock Lesnar first came to WWE in 2003 and he beat The Rock at SummerSlam to win his first WWE title. Karrion Kross has everything to be a main event star for years. And then you've already fucked him up. And he's not even been called up yet. This was just his debut. He's not fully on the main roster yet. He probably will be. He probably will be. I would not be surprised if Samoa Joe, right, and I would have no problem with this, but I would not be surprised if Samoa Joe ends up taking that title off Karrion Kross and Karrion Kross moves to the main roster full time. But the thing is, they've already fucked him up. Because I talked about it earlier in the podcast, how important first impressions are. They are the key to everything. First impressions matter. They matter. And the first thing you told the fans tonight when they saw Karrion Kross is, yes, he has the look. Yes, he has the appearance. And he has yes, he has the charisma. But you've already made him look like a loser. You had him pinned to a fucking, not a roll-up, but the Hardy having his legs on the rope. No! I don't care if Jeff Hardy has no more words back. And it didn't even get the fucking react I expected it to. I knew the second that they announced Karrion Kross versus Jeff Hardy, I knew he was going to come out with no more words. Because Hardy has been talking about it for fucking years. That's the only reason why Jeff Hardy is still in WWE. That's the reason why he hasn't left WWE for AEW to have one more tag team run with his brother Matt. That's the only reason why Jeff is still with the company. Just so that he can do no more words with the fans. And it got a little bit of a pop, but not much. Not much. Because Hardy, even though he's a legend, you've treated him like crap all year on the main roster. All year. And then what? You give him his theme song back, and then you have him beat Karrion Kross? What sense does that make? What sense did that make? This shit was supposed to be about Kross and debuting a guy that should be a future world champion. And all you did was take everything special about him, right? Throw it away, and then make him look like another guy. Another guy. And then you have him cut that promo, a dumbass promo, how Jeff Hardy just made the biggest mistake of his life, right? Because everybody is a victim of time at the end. Look, Kross is great on the mic, and he has everything needed to be a megastar for years. But I don't care to see Kross cut a promo like that after he had just lost his fucking debut on Raw. And I'm a guy who knows this company in and out. I know the logic. I know what works and what doesn't work. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Kross should not have lost. For those of you guys who think Kross will be fine, maybe he will be in the long run. But all of a sudden, the first impression was horrible. There was no reason at all for Kross to lose tonight. Terrible stuff here. So, basically, so after Hardy brought back his own entrance music, right? We saw Kross take him down with a few suplexes, and then Hardy avoided him in the corner, right? And he went for the twist of fate. I thought Kross was gonna, reverse this into the cross jacket, and that was gonna be it, right? Kross did reverse the swanton, and he went for the elbow, but then Hardy countered it and ended up pinning him, by putting his foot on the middle rope. Terrible stuff. Like I said, there was no reason at all for Kross to win this match. None whatsoever. And there's nothing that you can say that's gonna, make me think otherwise. Terrible way for Karrion Kross to debut tonight. Should not have been the case. Should not. And let me see. I want to see if I can find Jeff Hardy's I want to see if I can find Jeff Hardy's entrance.
Free Guy, only in theaters, August 13th.
Champion Karrion Kross.
You thought he'd get a softball. You are wrong.
A little throw. Champion Karrion Kross.
You thought he'd get a softball.
Champion Karrion Kross.
You thought he'd get a softball.
Champion Karrion Kross.
You thought he'd get a softball. You are wrong.
A little throwback. Check out the music.
I'm actually going to take that back. I was actually wrong. I think I'm so angry about the way Kross was treated tonight. Hardy got a decent pop, actually. That was a better pop than I actually remembered when I watched the show live. I think I was so angry about seeing Kross lose, right, that actually, made me forget how good Hardy's pop was. But still, like I said, it doesn't excuse the fact Hardy should have not won. There is nothing could make me say, there's no excuse you can say to make it make sense for why Kross lost tonight. It should have never happened. Not happened at all. And that's WWE's fault. WWE has themselves to blame. It was a terrible decision on their part. Terrible. And maybe Kross does recover, and maybe Kross ends up being a huge star. But it still makes zero sense for Kross to lose on his debut. He's not fully on the main roster yet, but I can definitely see him losing that title to Samoa Joe and then maybe being brought up to the main roster officially after SummerSlam. But still, there is no reason for Kross to be losing. No reason at all. So, next up we had Drew McIntyre. Right, Drew McIntyre attacked Jinder Mahal. I'm not gonna, waste any time on this at all. Drew McIntyre attacked Jinder Mahal because we know Jinder Mahal cost Drew McIntyre a chance to win the Money in the Bank briefcase last night. Money in the Bank, right? Mahal, talked about basically how he was celebrating his birthday. Who gives a shit, right? I didn't care about that at all, and. They had, I don't know what's the name of these fucking Linkies or his fucking henchmen. I don't know what, I think their name is like Shanky or something like that. The really tall guy was singing happy birthday in this weird ass Maharaja language that made no sense to anybody. And I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know? And then eventually McIntyre came out. He hit Jinder in the back with the chair. He hit the shorter henchman also with a chair. And then, you know, he went after the big man. Jinder and the other henchmen, they were watching from from the stage, watching as their guy got hurt, right? He got hit with in the back over and over again by McIntyre to the delight of the crowd, and that was it. Like I said, I don't give a shit about this feud. You know, it's just really to keep McIntyre busy because for right now, he's out of the WWE title picture. Like I said last night on the Money in the Bank review, we need a break from Drew McIntyre being in the WWE title picture. So I'm fine with this. Right? I don't care for the feud, but if it keeps Drew busy until he's on SmackDown, because that would make the most sense. Drew should be on SmackDown until I'm sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up. Drew should be drafted to SmackDown when we have the WWE draft after SummerSlam. And then, you know, depending on what happens with Cena and Roman and all that stuff, then we can, you know, talk about a strategy or a path for Drew to get back in the WWE Championship picture, right? Maybe something happens. I was thinking about this. Maybe something happens where if Cena does beat Reigns at SummerSlam, you could always give us Cena versus McIntyre. You know, that would be a great match. You know, or maybe something like Reigns takes the title back from Cena, right? Cena leaves, and then at WrestleMania, you can build up Drew to take that title from Roman, and then give Drew the championship victory that he never got a couple years ago at WrestleMania. That is something that, you know, I'm just throwing there on the table. I'm not saying that they should do this, but it's definitely something that, you know, WWE could look into. But I do think you need to keep Drew away from any championships until, you know, the WWE draft, where Drew should definitely be one of the first picks to SmackDown. All right, so I don't care for the shoot for Jinder Mahal. I don't care at all if we end up getting Drew and Jinder at SummerSlam. But, you know, it does give Jinder something, or not Jinder, it gives Drew something to do. And we see this all the time. John Cena did it all the time throughout his career. And many of the top guys, when they're not in championship feuds, they need side feuds to keep them busy. You know, this is just to really keep Drew busy. This is a filler feud. No one's really that invested into it. We know that at the end, or in the end, Drew is gonna get his revenge on Jinder. He's gonna defeat, you know, Jinder and his lackeys, and that would be that. But for right now, you know, it just is what it is. Something to keep busy, something to keep Drew busy. Other things that happened on the show that we haven't talked about yet, there was what am I forgetting? There is I'm trying to think. There was a segment on Alexa's Playground, right? There was a segment on Alexa's Playground where Eva Marie and Doudrop interrupted Alexa. You guys know I don't give a shit about Eva Marie, right? And I'm kind of glad that this was really all we got of Eva Marie tonight. I'm really am. This short segment. But yeah, I don't want to see Eva Marie in the ring at all. Fuck that. You know, she's one of the reasons why. She's one of the main reasons why this women's division is so garbage. But yeah, we did have Eva Marie and Doudrop on Alexa's Playground. I'll play that clip for you guys.
I've been looking for this place for a long, long time.
She never had this.
Where'd you get the arrowhead?
I actually found it.
You stole it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my playground. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little sore today, but that's okay, because I have a very, very special guest tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fresh out of timeout, welcome back, Billy.
I'll give Alexa credit. She's starting this. And remember, Alexa got a really good pop at Money in the Bank. Really good pop. you know, she's starting to make this character a little bit more hers. You know, like I remember when she first started after WrestleMania, they had her just doing the same promo every single week. But you can see Alexa's energy, right, and her charisma. She's starting to make the character more hers each week, and I'm seeing that. So I do like that. I want to see Alexa more in the ring, but I am noticing that, you know, you can see the confidence now with Alexa with this character, and she's having fun with it. And it's not bad. I know we have some complaints about it, right? And we don't want to see Alexa doing the playground stuff every week, but you know, the character's growing on me, and look, it's not as bad as I feel like some people make it out to be. I'm not saying I'm the biggest Alexa Bliss fan or anything like that. I know that I said earlier this year I would not mind seeing Alexa built up to maybe become Raw Women's Champion. I've kind of, you know, reverted. I've kind of pushed those comments to the side for now. But still, you know, even though I don't think Alexa should become Raw Women's Champion anytime soon anymore, still, she's doing a good job with the character, in my opinion. And especially, she's doing a decent job in a terrible feud with freaking Eva Marie, because anything Eva Marie's involved with is absolute garbage.
Lily. Now, I know the last time Lily was around, things got a little out of hand. But Lily promises this time to be on her best behavior.
Is this a joke? Alexa. Hi. I thought that...
I don't know what the fuck Eva Marie is wearing. And you know, you have Doudrop dressing the same way as Eva Marie. What the fuck is this shit? Are we in France? Or am I at a French museum? What the hell is she doing? Like, Eva Marie, are you a fucking painter or are you a wrestler? What the hell was Eva Marie and Doudrop wearing tonight? This shit was garbage. Horrible outfit. I don't know if, like, Eva Marie and Seth Rollins went shopping together or something, but this shit's garbage. Terrible.
Having Doudrop toss you around last week, remember that? Would have taught you a lesson to not treat me like an afterthought. But here we are again, and you're ignoring me. The star and face of WWE.
Said nobody ever.
Creepy,
fuck Eva Marie.
gross little doll.
And fuck Goldberg, by the way.
Oh.
And fuck Charlotte. Yeah. Fuck Goldberg. Fuck Eva Marie. Fuck Charlotte. The three dumbasses of Monday Night Raw.
Hi, Doudrop. Doudrop.
No, don't do that.
Look. You're here. Yay. Eva, if you insist on coming to my playground, you must know that it is a bad idea to say anything mean about Lily.
Mean? You mean like if I say I might have Doudrop take your creepy little doll and toss her in the trash where she's supposed to be? Right?
For your sake, I hope you don't. Plus, I really don't have to put Lily back in timeout again so soon. But I have an idea. Ding. What if we put Doudrop in timeout? Just for a second, just to see how it feels. So finally, everyone can see what Eva Marie, the most important star in WWE, can do without anyone's help.
That was kind of cool. I liked how Alexa mocked Eva Marie right there. Eva Marie, the most important star in WWE, cancer, piss break, fucking get off the screen.
By yourself.
Do you know what I'm capable of on my own?
Oh my gosh. No, you can't wrestle.
But I won't waste any more of my time with you. Actually, either of you. There's no room in the evolution. Doudrop, let's go. Let's get out of here. Doudrop,
And all of a sudden, Eva Marie, like,
out of here.
that was horrible acting. Eva Marie just falls on her face. Like, she didn't even try to make it look real. She just fell. Terrible acting job by Eva Marie. Like, fucking hell. Can't even fake fall correctly.
Huh. I didn't see that there before.
Get me out of here.
And that was it. So, I guess potentially we'll see Alexa Bliss versus Eva Marie next week, right? With Doudrop not being involved. I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to be that, that simple. I don't, I have zero care about any of this other nonsense with fucking Eva Marie, man. I feel like I've given that enough of my attention tonight. So, that's it. Right? No more Eva Marie talk. She sucks. And that is, that's the end of it. Yeah. Anyway, what else happened on this show? Am I missing anything before we talk about the main event? I don't think so. Hope I don't see anything else. So yeah, so the main event was Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. And look, I talked about on Money in the Bank how that was an actual good match. That was an actual good match with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. As much as I hate Charlotte, and as much as I believe she's the most overrated woman star in WWE history, I will give her credit where I believe she earned it. Right? But, every time Charlotte does something good, she turns around and then the next night does something terrible. That makes me remind myself why I can't stand this woman so much. Right? A lot of you guys believe I just hate Charlotte just to hate her. I try not to. I try to be fair. But, the way she's booked and the way she portrays herself, it's just pure nonsense. I can't stand her. I just can't. Anytime she's on the screen. She does wear her android head ass, talking, and plus she's overrated. She puts in one great match, and then has 5 mediocre bad ones. That's what it seems. It's a constant trend with Charlotte, and I really can't stand it. Can't stand it. Hold up. And so, earlier in the show, actually, Charlotte came out and she's, talking about how she's the, 11-time women's champion. I already told you, you're not going to fucking insult my intelligence, right? Charlotte's a 14-time women's champion. Instead they be trying to fucking pull back the reins because it's like they realize, oh shit, we fucked up. We've already made Charlotte a 14-time women's champion in fucking less than, less than 7 years? She's already won nearly as many women's titles as John Cena has won world titles throughout the 2 decades of him being a top guy in WWE, which is fucking insane. It's insane to think about. So, Charlotte's coming out. She's celebrating her Raw Women's Championship victory, right? She's talking about how she's the original influencer, of course. Like we're all like Charlotte says the same garbage every single time. She bragged and taunted. There was a little bit where they were chanting Becky, but Charlotte, instead of giving them the middle finger and telling them to suck it this time, she actually was able to bring the attention back to her. So then she basically said, Rhea, I can beat you at any time, any day, right? Doesn't matter, leg injury or not. I'm just better than you. And Rhea came out, right? Rhea then challenged to face Charlotte tonight. You know, Rhea had nothing to say about how she lost. You know, Rhea had nothing to say about the curse she has of not being able to defeat Charlotte. You know, not being able to beat her at WrestleMania when she was the NXT champion a couple years ago. And not being able to beat her again when she was the Raw Women's champion. I was actually surprised. Rhea got a decent pop. So I don't know if Rhea's slowly bringing people over to her side, right? Or if people just dislike Charlotte that much that they're aligning themselves with Rhea Ripley. I don't know. But that's going to be something very interesting to see as we go forward. Excuse me. But Rhea made the challenge to face Charlotte again tonight. Charlotte said she didn't want to hurt Ripley's knee more than she did last night. And then Sonya and Adam Pearce came out. Pearce booked a rematch for the title. Yay, right? Because everybody wants to see a rematch with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. Look, I understand that they had a good match at Money in the Bank. That doesn't mean we want to see a rematch here again tonight. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody. Like, I don't understand why WWE, every time a good match happens, that they have to book a rematch right away. It's the laziest fucking creative. It truly is. So, they booked the rematch for later on in the show. I thought, like I said earlier, I thought the only reason why they booked this rematch was because we were going to be getting Becky Lynch to come back. But the later that the match went, and I saw that there was not enough time in the show, I was like, Becky's not gonna have enough time. They're not gonna have Becky come out with 2 minutes left in the show, right? And I know Charlotte had tweeted something out earlier how Becky was like too busy breastfeeding to be back in WWE, and Becky tweeted out in response that yes, I may be at home breastfeeding, but I'm still the most over person in the division, right? And that's pretty much true because everybody's been chanting for Becky, and we want Becky back. Because I'll say it again, I said it before and I'll say it again. Becky has a lot to prove. She has a lot to prove, whenever she does return. But if Becky's not back tonight, right? Becky didn't appear on SmackDown. She didn't appear on Money in the Bank. She didn't appear tonight on Raw. Look, maybe they're saving Becky's return for SummerSlam, or Becky's return is going to be the night after SummerSlam. I don't know why they're waiting so long for Becky to come back. Because she looks in awesome shape. But, we'll just have to wait and see. But Becky should be back anytime now. I'm really surprised she didn't return this weekend. And I thought she was going to return to the main event tonight, but she didn't. Instead, we got the main event. This match was nothing special. It started with basically little over 10 minutes left in the show. So it was a rush match with a commercial. This was nowhere near as good as the match they had last night at Money in the Bank or the match they had or any of their previous matches, right? So, basically, Charlotte attacked Rhea's leg, and then as we came back from break, Rhea was fighting to get back into the match. Charlotte went for a moonsault. Rhea blocked it with her knees and put Charlotte in her own figure four, which was kind of cool. Charlotte reversed the pressure and escaped. Ripley hit hit the riptide, but Charlotte got her foot on the rope to break the count. Charlotte tried to take the towel and leave, classic heel maneuver. Ripley gave chase, but then Charlotte hit her with the belt to lose by DQ, which didn't bother Charlotte at all because she remained Raw Women's Champion. So all of a sudden, I'm just like, what the fuck's gonna happen here? And I've said it. I said at the beginning of the podcast. I was so focused on thinking that Becky was going to come back, I forgot that Nikki Cross had won Money in the Bank last night. Like I said, it was maybe the most underwhelming Money in the Bank win we've ever seen. To the point where it had just happened 24 hours prior, and I completely forgot about it. That's how underwhelming the Money in the Bank win was for Nikki Cross. So, Nikki ran down, right? Because Rhea hit Charlotte with a riptide on the outside of the ring. Nikki ran down, casted her Money in the Bank briefcase. She did a big crossbody, which I'm going to be honest, it's a weak-ass finisher. Very weak finisher. But she hit it, and then went for the pin and became the Raw Women's Champion. And with less than 30 seconds left of the show, Nikki, celebrated. That's how unimportant this felt. Nikki only celebrated with the Raw Women's Championship for 30 minutes, or for 30 seconds, and then the show went off the air because they were running overtime. If it was Becky Lynch or Charlotte or any other big name in that women's division, they would have got like at least a 2-minute title celebration. That's how underwhelming this thing felt. It was underwhelming how Nikki Cross won Money in the Bank, and her cash-in was just as underwhelming. It may have been a special moment being in that crowd and seeing Nikki celebrate, because Nikki deserves it, but it felt underwhelming for anybody watching at home. And I want to see Nikki Cross succeed. I do. But the way this all went about, it was so rushed. It felt underwhelming. It didn't feel special. And still, I don't even think Nikki's going to walk into SummerSlam. I feel like this may be a 1-2 week thing, and then she'll drop the title to either Charlotte or Rhea Ripley. And I pray it's not the Charlotte, because nobody wants to see Charlotte as the 15-time women's champion. Nobody wants to see that. So right now, I have no idea what's going on with the Raw Women's Championship. I have no idea. I thought Becky was going to come back, and that was going to lead to Becky versus Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam, but Becky's not back, right? Becky still could return here in the next couple weeks. We have 5 weeks till SummerSlam. There's plenty of time for Becky to come back. But we don't know. Tonight would have made the most sense, but we don't know. Right? Maybe Becky does come back and then ends up being a fatal 4-way with Becky, Nikki, Rhea, and Charlotte. I don't know. But either way, I don't know what's the plan going forward. Do you give the title back to Charlotte? You would be dumb to give the title back to Charlotte. You've treated the Raw Women's Championship like a fucking hot potato. Then you're making the title less credible by the day. Nobody wants to see that. The Raw Women's Championship should not be treated like that. The division is already in shambles enough. Stop making it worse. You give Charlotte back the title, people are going to bitch and complain. We're tired of seeing Charlotte as champion. Tired. Right? You're going to make Charlotte a 15-time women's champion? Really? You're going to give her 2 title victories in less than a month? Are you going to give the title back to Rhea Ripley? Right? What's the point of giving Rhea Ripley back the title? If you're going to give Rhea Ripley back the title, everyone's going to say, why didn't you just have Rhea Ripley return that Money in the Bank? It would have made the most sense. I don't know what happens from here. I don't know if they do a triple threat at SummerSlam. I don't know if they do a fatal 4-way. I don't know what you do with the Raw Women's Championship. And this is WWE's fault. This is their fault. I don't know what you do. I truly don't have an answer right now. But this is WWE's fault for being a bunch of idiots. Let's be honest. WWE, treated this like idiots. They wanted to do something special, and they didn't think logically. They didn't think, with an actual fucking brain. And that's on WWE. But there's a couple clips here from after the show of Nikki Cross's title celebration. So I'm going to play. So they have an exclusive clip of Nikki celebrating with the crowd. So I'm going to play this clip. And then I'm going to play the clip of Nikki Cross being interviewed
Save
backstage.
with Mafre Insurance, the #1 trusted home and auto insurer in Massachusetts. Money's
You see Sean on the outside still selling the effects. Look, I'm happy for Nikki Cross, man. The crowd's celebrating with her. Because she deserves a big moment like that. But you see Nikki taking photos with young girls in the crowd. And I know Nikki loves the fans. Like when I met Sasha Banks at, I think it was New York. I don't know, when was it? It wasn't New York Comic Con. But I met Sasha Banks in New York a couple years ago. Like Sasha had just come back, And it was like she had. I think Sasha had just been drafted to SmackDown. It was right after the Sasha and Becky Hell in a Cell match, and at the event, Oh yeah, I remember. It was an event for Ringside Collectibles in New York. I met Sasha there, and Nikki Cross was also there just because she had a signing. And Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins had a signing later on in the afternoon. But when I was in line waiting to beat Sasha, Nikki had her signing right next to Sasha's booth. And I was looking at Nikki interacting with the fans. Nikki has such a sweetheart. She's like one of the sweetest people you could ever meet. She was hugging every single fan, having conversations with them, right? As the guy was trying to get people, pushed along, Nikki would, say like, no, let me talk to him for a little bit longer. Like, Nikki has a really great relationship with the fans. So I'm happy for her. I just hate the way WWE booked this. I'm happy for Nikki Cross. I'm happy for her because she deserves this. Nikki may never get a moment like this again. So I'm happy for her. I just wish WWE did a better job booking all of this with everybody involved. I'm talking about from Charlotte to Rhea Ripley to Nikki Cross to the Money in the Bank. I wish they did a better job with all these superstars. But I'm happy for Nikki. And she is amazing. And if you're a fan for Nikki Cross, I know that you are absolutely losing your mind. And who knows how long is this going to last. Because I don't see Nikki being a long-term champion. But still, I am very happy for her and her fans. Nikki went through like the whole crowd. Like, holy shit. Nikki's celebrating with everybody. Oh my gosh. You can see the emotion and joy on her face. And the referee came out to raise her hand. So let me play Nikki's backstage interview.
Vaping made my anxiety worse.
It held me in that sad place.
Nikki A.S.H. almost a superhero last night.
I wonder what her side plates are going to look like.
Miss Money in the Bank. And tonight, on Monday Night Raw, you are the Raw Women's Champion. I'm just going to say it, how are you feeling right now?
24 hours ago, I was Miss Money in the Bank, Nikki in the Bank. 24 hours later, I am here as the Raw Women's Champion! Champion! I have waited so long to say those words. And tonight felt so good. It felt so good. Going out to celebrate with the WWE Universe. Our weekend WWE is back. We're back in front of our WWE Universe. We're back in front of our family. The ring, that ring has always been my home. And tonight, I just felt like I was reunited with all my family. I got to hug them, and I got to win one of the most coveted titles in this industry. And I got to win it from Charlotte Flair. I beat the 11-time women's champion.
Stop with the 11-time women's champion. It's 14-time. Stop. I'm not defending Charlotte. I'm trying to bring Charlotte down. I want people to recognize how ridiculous it is that Charlotte is a 14-time women's champion. I don't care what anybody says. It's ridiculous. It's a bunch of bullshit if you ask me.
A.S.H, almost a superhero. I did this for all the little superheroes
I
out
agree
there.
with you, Edward.
And I'm leaving tonight as Raw Women's Champion!
Congratulations. Well deserved.
And she hugs. Look, man, I'm happy for Nikki. I just wish WWE did a better job with all this booking. I really did. I really do. I'm happy for Nikki. She deserves it. But man, I wish Nikki got a moment like this with her old character. Like, and Edward, you said it best, man. I wish Nikki was able to get this moment with her truly her old NXT character, man. Not this superhero nonsense, but look, I'll give it a chance. I'll see where it goes. I'm not expecting much for it, right? I would be really surprised if Nikki walks into SummerSlam as champion, but like I said, we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. I'm happy for Nikki Cross. Before I do end the review, I do want to mention Naomi got traded to SmackDown earlier today. Usually with these things, right? We don't find out what the compensation is until like later on. I know that Mandy Rose is going back down the NXT. I don't know what for, but Mandy Rose is going back down to NXT. So I guess her and Dana Brooke, they were a tag team for the better part of the last year. So I guess that tag team is now dissolved, right? So maybe by Mandy being sent down to NXT, Naomi gets moved to SmackDown. I don't know who Raw would get in for compensation. I don't know. They haven't announced any, big trade. I look at the SmackDown Women's Division. They did just get, Toni Storm, Tegan Nox, and Shotzi Blackheart, right? I don't see Sasha or Bianca being traded. That would be huge. So I don't know who would be sent as compensation. Maybe Carmella, but she's facing Bianca for the SmackDown Women's Championship on Friday. So that wouldn't make sense. Maybe it's Zelina Vega. I don't know. Maybe Liv Morgan. I would hate to see Liv or Zelina get moved to Raw. I don't see them being booked importantly on that show at all. So I don't know. Well, as soon as we find out who got sent to Raw for Naomi, I'll let you guys know. But I am happy for Naomi because Naomi should be on SmackDown. Because look at Naomi. She has been misused, and I talked for weeks how I wanted Naomi or Liv Morgan, one of those two, to win Money in the Bank, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. But Naomi being on SmackDown might be a blessing for her, because then if they want, they can have Naomi part of the Roman Reigns faction. They have the Usos there now as the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Imagine if Naomi turns heel and joins that faction. And maybe she finally wins the SmackDown Women's Championship. Look, as much as I would love to see Sasha's champion again, what if Sasha lost to Bianca, right, at SummerSlam, and Naomi turns heel, and Naomi is the one to take the title from Bianca, right? And then maybe we get a babyface Sasha versus a heel Naomi feud. I would not complain about that at all. Look, I'm the biggest Sasha Banks fan around, but she doesn't, necessarily have to be champion. We know how great Sasha is. Sasha's never like Sasha said it best, my name is greater than your title. Imagine if we get a heel Naomi and a babyface Sasha feud. I am not against that whatsoever. And it could be a while till we even find out who was the superstar traded to Raw for Naomi coming to SmackDown. But I feel like Naomi going to SmackDown could be a blessing. We could get a Naomi and Bianca feud. We can get Naomi and Sasha. That's a feud people have been wanting to see for years. We got a little bit of Naomi and Sasha back in 2016 when Sasha turned babyface and Naomi and Tamina kicked Sasha out of Team Bad. But I would love to see a championship feud. I think about how good those Bayley and Naomi matches were back when Bayley was SmackDown Women's Champion. Imagine how good they would be for Sasha. A Sasha Naomi feud, I feel like, would be great on SmackDown. But either way, man, we'll see what happens. But I am happy that Naomi is back on SmackDown. There's a lot they can do with her, and I really, really, really hope they really give Naomi a chance to shine. There is no reason for Naomi not to shine on SmackDown now, especially when her husband is shining great in one of the best storylines with Roman Reigns. There's so much you can do with Naomi now on SmackDown. So hopefully they use her. Hopefully, we'll see. But Naomi going to SmackDown, I think, is a great move. But yeah, other than that, guys, that's about all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so very much for joining me today on the Legit Dude podcast. I know this was a long stream. I know this was a long podcast, but man, it feels good to be back with the regular reviews. It's been a long weekend. Money in the Bank, SmackDown. If you guys haven't checked out those reviews, they're live on the channel, right? Thank you guys to everyone who joined me for the Raw review tonight. You guys are awesome. No matter if you guys were on the stream or listening on demand after the stream went up, you guys are amazing. As always, guys, leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new, hit the bell right next to my name, FitzPunkTV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Follow me down on social media. The links are in the description down below. And also, man, make sure we will have a SmackDown review this weekend. It could be a big weekend, man. We know that John Cena is going to be on SmackDown confronting Roman Reigns. That's going to be awesome. And we could potentially... And I expect, especially with the Bianca Belair versus Carmella rematch, I expect us to see the return of Sasha Banks. We know that SmackDown's going to be in Cleveland, but we also know that there's going to be some stuff going on with the Rolling Thunder. So I do expect Sasha to be back this weekend, so it could be a huge week. But either way, man, I'm excited for it. As much as Raw pissed me off tonight with a lot of the uncreative and illogical booking decisions, man, I'm still kind of pumped for SummerSlam, and I'm definitely pumped for SmackDown side of things with Sasha coming back and possibly challenge Bianca, Edge versus Seth Rollins and Cena versus Roman. Raw has a lot of catching up to do when it comes to their side for SummerSlam, but still, I am excited for SmackDown, and we'll see what happens this weekend. So thank you guys as always. Leave a like on the video, you guys haven't already, before you guys leave. I'll see you guys later. Stay safe and healthy, y'all. Peace.